Is your life forever changed by this movie?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh my God.
This is like the lesbian salt burn almost.
Yes, that's the perfect. We don't even need an intro. That's the perfect intro right there.
Where are the quiet gays? Where are the quiet gays supposed to go?
My notes just get progressively unhinged. My edible also kicked in like halfway through as well.
Oh God, I forgot you took one. What a terrible movie to take one of those.
This movie is not for me. This is the first time I could say that as a lesbian, I would not watch this movie again. I would not. I understand what they were going for, and I think it's a brilliant, incredible movie with so much context and things to unpack, but never again will I watch this movie.
I'm gonna just hop right in and disagree with you. I
Really?
loved it, but the whole time I felt itchy. Like physically, I was itchy because I was so uncomfortable.
Ah, yeah.
But I liked it. I liked it.
I liked it too. I thought it was beautifully shot. Even in the very beginning when they're walking at the gun range, that was incredible. All the walking shots. Oh my God. But it was just too much for me. And I think as I'm getting older, I'm like realizing like I don't want to see an unhinged jaw. Like I don't
This is why I won't watch Game of Thrones.
I can do Game of Thrones. I really can. Because like the battle like it doesn't seem real. This seemed real. Do you know what I mean? Like a battle scene versus like this murder. It was so much more intimate. Like murder is so intimate, while like a battle scene is like not. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, I see your point. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's why I can differentiate. This to me, I was just shocked. Okay, I like how we just hopped into this, but also, how are you?
Sweaty as always. Sweaty
That's
girl.
that was Haylie, not Lauren. Because if you know both of us, you know that Lauren, am extremely sweaty. That was Haylie. I'm not sweaty today.
How are you?
I'm good. I just got off work. I raced home and made like record time. I was impressed. I was like, you mean I could get home at 5:30 every day? That's crazy. Cause you know me, like I like hang out and I chit chat with all the old ladies, like past what I'm supposed to, but I'm like, but they're talking to me. So I like literally bolted out of there at 5 p.m. exactly. And then I realized that I didn't clock back in from lunch. And I'm like, oh,
Oops.
there's so many tiny little tasks I have to do tomorrow, and now I have to fix my punch card thing. I just gave my coworker shit too for missing a punch. That's how you learn as a Capricorn. Just fucking up your own stuff with what you say. Anyway, you were off today, yeah?
Uh-huh. We have
Nice.
a silly little off day, which I kind of love because we're shooting this commercial and they were like, okay, well, we're going to schedule it 2 days and then a 2 day break and then another 2 days. And that's super weird. That's not normal because, uh, for reference, all of you guys, we're recording this on a Monday. And so it's a little bit silly and odd that they would give us our off days on a Monday and Tuesday. But hey, I am not complaining because it is 96 degrees today. I mean, it has been the last 2 days, but it's supposed to be even hotter tomorrow. So if I can skip those days,
Yeah.
count me in.
Is it going to be cooler?
It's supposed to be like 3 degrees cooler, but I have to sit outside and like, oh my gosh. Yesterday, okay. I work with celebs and yesterday at work it was 96 degrees and it was so sweaty. As always, I meet a celeb and I'm like, "Hi, nice to meet you," as sweat drips down my face and it's awful. And yesterday I'm standing there and I turned to my friend Jose and I was like, Jose, My clothes are feel a little wet. Will you look at my back for me?
Oh no.
he looks, he goes, and I'm like, oh no. Oh no. He didn't even have to tell me what it looked like. I could feel it. It was so wet. And it was just, I just knew that the back of my shirt was like that sweat print. So the whole time I'm like trying to not let my back face the celeb I'm working with. But I'm like having to walk her places, so I'm like walking sideways. You know that Fletcher song? She walks sideways on the sidewalk or whatever. That was me. I now know what she was talking about. Shannon Beveridge had a sweaty back.
Yeah, that's it. Wait, are you able to? Yeah, your names was like in the credits. So you got to tell us the top secret thing that you teased about.
The top secret thing I teased about was I was on the music video for Charlie XCX's song Guess that was featuring Billie Eilish. So I still paid for the two of them, and it was just the most fun little time.
That sounds so much fun.
But I knew that you would freak out because it's Brat Summer.
It's Brat Summer, and you were working with the literal Brat herself. Yeah, that is very cool. I loved it. I thought it was a commercial, but then it was a music video.
That.
Yeah.
Because that's what I thought based on the information I got job.
Okay, but the only thing I could think of while watching it was like, is that a landfill or is that like the pile of clothes on my couch that I never fold that I will sleep on? What is happening there?
I mean, it's supposed to be that like it's raining panties.
I mean, well, yeah, I got the concept. Trust me. That's so freaking cool though.
It was so funny though. I had this moment where I'm like, actually, how did I get here? Because I'm at work and there's like half naked people in sheer underwear dancing all around me, and like Billie Eilish is right there, and I'm like picking up thongs off the ground. And this is my job. And I'm just really not sure how I ended up in this spot right now.
What is that sitcom or something that's always like, I bet you're wondering how I got here.
Literally, I had this meta moment where I was like, and then I went to grab my lunch and someone had put a cigarette out in it. And I'm like,
oh, no, that is exactly what I would think would happen on a set like that.
Oh, heavy sigh.
Yeah, there's nothing else to go to from there.
And onward we go.
Here we go. Well, let's talk about this movie. We are talking about Love Lies Bleeding today. Welcome back, everyone, to Lesbian Book Club Cinema Edition. I feel like we do like a short synopsis of this movie and then talk about the craziness and the way this movie made my body feel. I was so uncomfortable. And again, I want to say, like, I think it was a brilliant movie, and I think it showcased so much about the world and relationships and intimacy and the bodybuilding culture of the 80s. But like at the same time, I was just like, I didn't need to see that. I didn't want to see that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
Yeah. What was surprising to me is that I think the singular most disturbing part of this movie for me was the sound when the roids would kick in. She'd get all hulky for a minute, and her veins would pop up and like move in her skin, and it would be like a wet sound, you know? That was the singular most disturbing part.
It was so disturbing. Whoever did the sound effects for this movie deserves an Oscar. Because they were.
I'd like to have a little one-on-one chat with them, actually.
Oh, what would you say?
Give them a piece of my mind.
Because you didn't like it.
They turned my guts inside out. Like I felt like.
Oh, and the sound that they made when they were like, when the the jaw, and then when they were they used the same sound effect when they put him in the car.
Yeah, it's
It was
disgusting.
so disgusting. But wait, hold on, before we get into all the disgusting parts that we didn't like. I would like to say that I have been obsessed with Kristen Stewart since Panic Room days because
Yes.
so I'm a huge Sandra Bullock fan, and anybody who
Mhm.
knows me knows that I'm obsessed with her. My fifth grade teacher, Sandra Bullock, that year had a stalker, and my fifth grade teacher literally thought it was me. Um, she like legit asked me, like, are you her stalker? And I was like, no, I'm in fifth grade. But before I went through
Wait, I'm confused about what you just said. Are you Sandra Bullock's soccer?
stalker,
Oh.
stalker. So
Okay.
my fifth grade teacher thought that I was her stalker because I
Okay.
loved her so much. But right before, or like in the middle of my Sandra Bullock phase that I have not grown out of, so I don't think I can call it a phase, I had a Jodie Foster phase. I
Oh,
should have known I was a fucking lesbian when I was like literally 9.
you missed some really obvious signs.
Oh, why didn't anyone tell me? But I went through a Jodie Foster phase and I watched all of Jodie Foster's movies. I watched Nell, which is incredible. It's where Jodie Foster plays like a woman who was like abandoned in the woods when she was little and like basically like raised by wolves, like very feral. It's very interesting. But I also watched Panic Room and I was obsessed with Panic Room, even though it scared the living daylights out of me. And I probably shouldn't have been watching it when I was like 9. I loved Kristen Stewart in that movie. And then I never watched Twilight. So I never understood the Kristen Stewart backlash. Haylie is looking at me like I'm a crazy person.
Yeah, because I'm just wondering how old was Kristen Stewart in this movie?
In Love Lies Bleeding, it came out this year.
No. In the
In Panic Room,
Panic Room.
she was like 12.
I didn't know she was a child actor.
Oh, yeah, she's an iconic child actor. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Kristen.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe we didn't. Okay, good. We've reached the point in the episode. You should know everything else. Yeah, she was 12. Look, I'm showing Haylie a little picture of her.
Oh, she's just a little cutie with a little cutie bob.
I know. And isn't that casting incredible? They look like mother-daughter.
Yeah.
So I would just like to say that I love Kristen Stewart. I didn't watch Twilight until I watched it. My ex-girlfriend was like loved Twilight, so she finally made me watch them. But she like accidentally made me watch them out of order. So I watched like the first one and then like the third one and then the second one and the fourth one and I was like super confused. So I didn't understand the Kristen Stewart hate. But I loved her in this movie and I was super looking forward to her in this movie. And then she said a line that I think I will never recover from. Please tell me you know the line that she said that made me
in this movie,
in Love Lies Bleeding.
Bleeding.
The line that made me cringe to the point where I wanted to vomit. She's looking at her notes. It was the worst line ever written, and I don't understand why it was there. It was so unattractive and disgusting. Like, I don't know. It's during a sex scene. She says, I want to stretch you.
You didn't like that.
Ugh, I wanted to die. That's disgusting. That sounds painful. Why do you want to do that to someone?
I would have never guessed that that was the line that you were gonna say.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, I wouldn't have clocked that as like the super cringy thing.
Ew, really? It was the cringiest thing I've ever heard in a movie ever. She's talking about her vagina. I want to stretch you. Ugh, gross.
I don't know. I mean,
Haylie and I are clearly very different. Listen, I'm one for dirty talk. I love it. It's fine. But that if someone said that to me, I would probably put my underwear back on and leave the room and leave the whole house. Wherever the hell we were, I'm leaving. That is some serial killer shit right there.
well, she has committed a few kills, so I mean, you are with not out
Okay,
point.
yeah,
that was
see,
not English. That
Yeah.
sentence had some real difficulty coming out.
I wanted to die. I literally wanted to die when she said that. First of all, I wasn't expecting her to say that. And then when it came and okay, she delivered that line with I know this is a common critique of Kristen Stewart, but with like no emotion. And it was just like I felt like Kristen Stewart, the actress, was uncomfortable saying that line. It's the only time in the movie I felt like it like wasn't done well.
Really? I
Yes.
really thought that it was part of the like, okay, here's something that I think is so attractive about
Okay.
Kristen Stewart. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
think that it's really hot is the way that she delivers things and the way that she is just very like she's kind of flat, but not
Stoic. Yeah.
yeah, and it gives like, oh, I don't give a fuck. Like it gives I don't really care the reaction that you're going to have to me. Like I'm just going to be the way that I am, and whatever you react is just what it is.
Okay. I can see that. It almost gives like a genuineness, an authenticness to what she's
Exactly.
saying because she's saying it so flatly. Like I don't like you said, like I don't
Yes.
care. I can see
Yeah.
that. I think
And
it just
like
ugh.
to me, I was like, damn, okay. She isn't trying to perform it. She's just like, I'm thinking it, I'm gonna say
Yeah, I get it, but why are you thinking that?
it.
I've never once thought that. But it does, I feel like, catch like the 80s. I feel like the rise of like pornography in the 80s
Mm,
and everything. Like, I felt like it was, the sex scenes didn't come off as like pornographic to me, but they were very intense and like graphic. I'm having a hard time like trying to put into words what I mean by this, but that line is something I feel like you would hear in an 80s porn film.
okay. I can't say that I like have seen anything that's categorized like that, so I don't have a reference for
Yeah.
this.
I haven't either, so that's true. I'm just thinking of like the porn stash, it's very like 70s, 80s.
Yeah,
And like that man would say that.
yeah. This is reminding me of the scene where in the very beginning where Jackie has sex with JJ in the car. And I was like, this is like that actually it made me laugh because he is going to pound town
Oh
on
my
her.
God, I know. And she's just like
And
there.
yeah, and she's like taking it, but not really that enthused about it. And he's like, yeah, you like this dick, you like this dick.
Uh-huh.
And
Ugh.
he's just so un he in no way is this man eloquent, in no way is he smooth or beautiful about it. Like there is nothing nice about it.
He was so unconnected to the person he was fucking.
Yes, he's crude.
Yeah.
And the second he gets that, like he gets off, she doesn't. He doesn't even notice, it seems. And
No.
then he's like, "Oh, that was magical." And I was like, "Oh."
And she was like, okay.
Yeah, just the look on her face where she's like, okay, dude, whatever.
Yeah.
And then he just kicks her out of the car and is like, careful where you sleep, it's dangerous out there. I'm like, dude has no consideration. He just
No.
really isn't thinking. And then we find out later that he has a whole wife and kids at home, and he's just out banging this girl out back of the gym, and then going home and beating his wife.
I know. Oh God, I can't wait to talk about
Ugh.
JJ because I have a lot to say about him. But you know what's crazy, and this could have been the edible, is I didn't clock that was JJ, that she was fucking at the very beginning for quite a
You
while.
didn't.
For a very, I even wrote it down. I was like, I should have caught that. I catch everything in movies all the time, like everything. So I'm gonna blame this one on the edible. Because and actually it wasn't an edible, it was a drink. It was a THC spiked root beer and it was delicious. But I was so mad at myself for not clocking that for a while. And guys, apparently we're not going to give you a synopsis. I hope you've seen this movie. If you haven't, go watch it and come
Long
back.
story short, gross murdery stuff, fall in love, but toxic as hell, and evil dad, dying, people go into a canyon.
Okay, wait. I feel like I have a really good
Okay.
synopsis. That's going to sound really silly. Okay. Two sapphic women in the 80s. One's a bodybuilder, one's just like a tiny, skinny dyke. They get involved in steroids. The bad guy from Westworld is one of their dads. And he is like a mob boss, okay? But then the one you think is of the two women that you think would commit murder out of this, the daughter of the mob boss, she doesn't. It's the other one who's freaking wrecked up on roids. Then the sister of the dad, well, no, the sister of the daughter of the dad, there's two daughters, is like being beaten by her husband. And that is like the linchpin of Lou's storyline where I can't, this is not a good synopsis, but this is how I felt watching the movie. I'm like, oh my God, there's just so much to it. So in the end, it is like a Bonnie and Clyde, they run away together type thing. But the toxicness of this movie is off the charts. I don't think I've seen a movie where every single person, there's no one to root for.
No.
Not a single person. Maybe Daisy,
No.
but also like I hate her.
Not Daisy.
But the thing about Daisy is Daisy and Lou's sister, the one who's being beat, are exactly the same person. And Lou and her dad are exactly the same person, and they morph into each other. And I would even put in okay, this is getting way too into it, and I feel like we need to back up. But the way Lou treated Daisy is the same way JJ treated his wife, Lou's sister.
How do you think?
Oh, I have so much to say about it. First of all, Lou did not see Daisy as a person. And we can see that at the very end when she was just like, oh God, I just gotta like kill this bitch in the backseat of my truck because she's causing a commotion and she's gonna throw off my plans. Right? In the same way that JJ, which what is the sister's name? Do we know her name? Beth. With JJ is like beating the shit out of Beth almost to the point of death. Like they treat them the same way. And I have to think that the dad probably did this to their mom as well, because I'm pretty sure the dad killed the mom. It's just such a cycle and cyclical like abuse. I think we forget that like Lou was abused obviously by her dad, but that also means the sister was abused as well. And these are just different manifestations of abuse that comes out. One becomes the dad and one became the mom, basically. Even though we don't have a lot of context about the mom in this movie, Beth was definitely that archetype of like the abused woman. And Lou became the abuser when it came to Daisy. So to me, they were like all the same people. And also, how fucked up is this family?
Oh, just really, really messed up.
Every single person in this family abused Jackie. JJ, Lou, the dad. They all abused Jackie in some form or the other. And Jackie's not off the hook. Don't get me wrong. Jackie's like roiding out on fucking steroids. But I think at one point she was so tired of being manipulated by all these people too. Okay, let's go back to the beginning though.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a whole long-winded
Also,
thing.
I retract my statement that there's nobody to root for. I think that we can root for Beth.
Okay, I have a complicated relationship with things like this. Yes, I agree. And I don't think you can ever blame an abused woman for staying with their abuser because there's so many layers. I just don't think she's a likable character. You feel sympathy for her and you feel even more than sympathy and empathy, pity for her And I don't think characters that are pitiful are like you're rooting for them. Like, yeah, of course I'm rooting for her to get away from JJ.
Mhm.
Like, my God. But I'm not like, yeah, Beth, go do it. You got this. Like, you know what I mean? She's just very timid. She's very abused, and that's awful.
I mean, like, I think what it is and what you're picking up on is that she doesn't get a lot of character development. She doesn't get like
No.
there wasn't that time put into her to really give her any other storyline except for that she is an abuse victim.
Yeah.
And so like I think that we can root for her exactly like to get away from that
Yes.
abuse and to have a better life and get her kids out of that situation and herself out of that situation, and also to just kind of get a grasp on truly the dark reality of the situation, because she has a lot of denial going on,
Yeah.
and come to terms with the grief and loss that she's going to have to face in order to get herself out of the situation and accept help, because the person abusing her is somebody that she loves and she feels like she can't let go of that to go be safe somewhere else. But yeah, no, I think definitely she didn't get that much character development, which does you can't really like rally behind her in a way you would rally behind a hero, because she doesn't have that
Yes.
sort of like story.
We don't know anything
power.
about her. Yeah, to like endear us
Right.
to
So
her.
I see what you're saying
Yeah.
in that way.
Yeah, it wasn't like I was looking to the next scene to find out what happened to Beth. I knew what was going to happen to
Mhm.
Beth. I knew Beth was going to end up dead or in the hospital at the end of the movie, Like it was predictable in that light. And one of the things, and I guess we're just going to jump around and talk about any of the parts we want to, but one of the things that I thought was so sad and scary was when they were in the hospital room with Beth, and it was just Jackie and Lou and Beth
Mhm.
in the hospital, and Lou starts to freak
Yeah.
out. Lou starts to get angry and yelling and beating the wall. And the only thing I could think of is, well, two things. One, this is probably exactly how it sounded when Beth was getting attacked. And then to have Beth in that room, most likely her hearing is fine. Listening to that type of violence again when that had just happened to her, I thought was devastating.
Mm.
I was like, she is listening to her, who somebody probably doesn't know it's her sister, like beat the shit out of a wall and scream and freak out when this is just what she went through. And it's almost like these continuation of the trauma and the violence of like, it's never ending and it's never stopping.
Right.
That really hit me. That really struck me as really rough for Beth.
Yeah. Well, you see Jackie's reaction to her too. And we know there's a comment that Jackie makes at some point where she's like, "What, you don't think that I have stories?" And also she has this conversation with her little sibling and her mom, where her mom calls her a monster and hangs up the phone. And so we know that there is a backstory to her home life and that it wasn't good. And there's a reason she is homeless and hitchhiking around. And
what do you think that reason was? Do you think Jackie was kicked out because she was queer?
I don't know.
Like, I don't know what other reason it could be.
I mean, it hints at that.
Which, I mean, I think the most current stat I've seen is like 60% 70% of homeless youth are LGBTQ in some way. And yeah, Jackie's story we don't really get into other than that little clip. But the crazy thing about her mom calling her a monster, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because Jackie becomes a monster.
Everybody does.
Lou, yeah, I was gonna say Lou becomes a monster. The dad already was a monster. JJ is an absolute fucking monster.
Beth also calls Lou a monster.
I know. Ugh. And not even necessarily for like the right thing.
No. Well, you know what's interesting too is that so they both get called monsters, and then there's this whole thing that Jackie keeps kind of turning into like a Hulk throughout.
Yeah.
She's, almost undergoing that transformation, and then she does at the end. Which
Yeah.
that's the Incredible Hulk, who's a monster. But like in that scene, the ending scene where they're on like a court at the dad's house and they're like hunched on the ground talking to each other. And Lou says to Jackie, like, I think you're incredible. There's nothing wrong with you. And then she turns into the Incredible Hulk. It's like monster versus incredible. It's what side of the coin are you seeing somebody as?
That scene was crazy. I was like, this is the most toxic shit I've ever seen. And that scene is where I think Lou turned into her dad 100%. I think the circle was being drawn the whole movie of Lou turning into her dad, but in that scene, Lou saw a vulnerable woman and played into her vulnerability and basically completed like how a pimp turns a broken girl into a prostitute. Like that's what I felt like that scene was like a very manipulative scene on Lou's part. Like Lou finally clocked what Jackie needed and was like, okay, I'll give her that. And it was so toxic. Like it was one of the most toxic scenes I've ever seen. And the fact that this is like, obviously it's not real life, but that this shit does happen in real life in sometimes even more subversive ways is frightening. Yeah. And to see it on screen like that and like to watch it, it was. And the crazy thing about it is like then at that point, I was thinking about how going back to the very beginning where Lou was the one that got her on the roids.
Yes.
Lou was the one that got that girl on drugs from the beginning. And I was like, that is such a manipulative, almost pimp mob boss thing to do.
I really hated that she did that. And it was also just really like she's trying to quit smoking. She's trying to quit this bad habit. And then she's going to go get this other girl hooked on roids.
Yeah. And the thing is, I don't know if at the beginning it was like, I feel like it's like such a commentary on so many different parts of society, but like where you think something is so harmless at the beginning, especially the 80s, everyone was on roids, right? It was so unregulated. You're getting it from anywhere. I mean, I don't have like a ton of understanding or history of it, but I know some stuff, right? And for her, and then Lou started paying for the drugs after she was like, I got it for free. And it was just this cycle of addiction and abuse. And I do want to talk about how, so Jackie's first scene, we talked about where JJ is like from behind fucking her. One of the next scenes we see after Jackie and Lou meet is Jackie getting in the same position, like down on all four, and Lou now behind her. But instead of like penetrating her with a penis, she's penetrating her with the needle in her butt, right? And that was, I clocked that immediately of like, what a juxtaposition of these two scenes with Jackie in the same position. Both of like, this sounds terrible. It's like, I always, whenever I use the word penetrate, I think of Rebel Wilson in Pitch Perfect going, not a good enough reason to use the word penetrate. But like Jackie being like used in this way and like it was, and the shots being almost identical is so telling. And like, again, beautiful. A24 did an incredible job, but it was just so hard to watch putting it all together. And the fact that like, like I said, like Lou got Jackie hooked on drugs. And then she couldn't stop. She turned self-fulfilling prophecy from her mom turning into this monster, murdering. I know that there were 4 murders. How many did Lou commit? Jackie did
Jackie did 2 of them.
AJ and Daisy.
Mm-hmm.
Then the cop was Lou. And then there was someone else I feel like died, but I can't remember. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's only 3. But yeah, and then to end with that basketball scene of Lou completely, like Lou was a bigger monster than Jackie, in my opinion, because Lou completely turned into her dad and was not only murdering people, but doing it without any remorse. The way Kristen Stewart played this role was incredible. She deserves all the awards. I knew when Daisy started moving in the back of the truck, I knew Lou was going to have such an emotionless reaction to this and see it as a burden and be like, just another thing I have to do. I've been cleaning up dead bodies. I've been cleaning up after everyone else. This is just what I do. And I'm just going to so easily take this girl's life.
It was like a romantic gesture to her, to Jackie, because she was letting Jackie just be done with it.
And Jackie didn't even know that this happened. Like, Jackie almost doesn't know the entirety of the monster that she's with, even though Jackie herself is literally a monster. Like, and again, I don't want to use the word monster in the same way they are. Like, we're using it in the way that the film is. Like, I do have so much empathy for these women. But at the end of the day, I'm just like, no.
They also, like, kind of got put in impossible positions.
Okay, but Jackie didn't have to shoot Daisy in the back of the head.
Oh yeah, no, actually, Jackie did not get put in impossible positions. She did that to herself. She absolutely did not have to go and kill JJ. I think Lou. Let me rephrase that. Lou got put in impossible position after impossible position.
I will agree with that. I will absolutely agree with that. And the fact, what was so heartbreaking, I think, about that was the fact that she said the only reason she was staying around was her sister.
Yeah.
But her sister didn't even want to help herself.
No, but if you love somebody that you see getting hurt, even if they don't accept help, you can't walk away. Like,
oh, I could never. If my sister was in that situation,
yeah.
I can't say I wouldn't murder the dude myself.
Right.
Like, you know what I get it. Like, I understand it. But yeah, the Daisy of it all was an insane plot twist.
Also,
all of my notes are like, not now, Daisy. Daisy, not now.
I know Daisy had the worst timing. The worst. For a while, I thought that she maybe was like comedic relief just because she had the worst timing. And then I finally, at the end, I was like, oh no, she's there because she's going to like seriously inconvenience them by showing up at this light.
Yes. and you realize towards the end that Daisy is not stupid.
No, like she's just crazy enough to do something really terrible.
Yeah, but also they use Daisy in such a way to show how good Lou was at manipulating someone. And it was kind of all fine and good when she's manipulating the like podunk, towny girl. But then she uses those skills on Jackie. And you're like, oh shit, like all of that is so fucked up and terrible. And of course it was fucked up when I saw it with Daisy. Don't get me wrong. If you can't tell, I hate all of these characters. But you just feel bad for Daisy too, because you're like, what is her backstory? Like, that was meth mouth, right? Like,
it had to be.
If anything, Daisy's almost a sympathetic character. Like,
I'm also confused because she's at the gym all the time, but like she's sitting at a school desk.
She's just hanging out. She's just hanging out. She has nowhere else to go. That's probably where she got her drugs.
Oh.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the hangout. She probably was a sex worker in some sense of the word. So guys on steroids, right? Which also JJ was probably on steroids, which probably the roid rage is not what's causing him to hit Beth, obviously, but obviously making it worse.
Yeah. Jackie's roid rage, like,
Ugh.
actually really, truly, deeply terrified me.
Oh, scariest thing. And I think they really showed that when they made her really big. Like, you know what I'm talking about when she was like a giant, which that shit was fucking
I
weird.
kind of thought that
The-
was them being like, oh, look, she's on cloud nine. Because they literally put them through like purple
that
clouds, like
was,
prancing around. Like,
you would almost call it a lavender haze. That's immediately what I thought of. Sapphic, lavender, fog, and haze at the end. No, but I'm talking about the part where they made her really, 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 really big.
yeah.
It was so scary. My ex-girlfriend has this fear of
Turning into a
big
giant.
things. No, objects. It's actually a real thing. It's a real thing. And we went to God, what's that museum that has the big dog and the big tables?
Oh, the Broad.
The Broad. We went to the Broad. It was so much fun. But she was like legit scared of that giant dog. And that,
Really?
yeah, it's like, I forget what it's called, but it's this fear of like big things. And I was like, God, I hope she never watches this movie because she'll be so scared. So if you have that fear, don't watch this movie because things get really big that are not supposed to. But yeah, I thought that shit was weird. And then the part where she like vomits out Lou, I
hated that.
do you know how many times I wanted to just not watch this movie anymore? I mean, I was like live texting you being like, Haylie, this movie's too much. I can't do it. I'm so scared right now. I don't like any of it. It's not for me. And I know people loved this movie. People loved this movie.
I mean, like me.
Yeah. But would you really watch it again? You'd be like, this is something I want to watch again.
I think I need some time and like a few years. I need a few years and then
Okay.
I will watch it again.
Okay, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gonna talk about the gayness of it all.
Yeah. That's the only part I liked. And I didn't even like it.
Well, there were really impeccable sex scenes in this.
Oh my God. I know. Listen, I am a lover of lesbian sex scenes. I really am. But I gotta stop. This whole movie was like overshadowed the sex scenes for me, but they were very hot. The first one, incredible.
Yeah, although the places and times that they were choosing to have sex, I was like, what is wrong with you people?
Dude, I know.
What is wrong with you that this is happening and you're like, oh, this is what's on my mind. Come here, like I'm in the mood. No, absolutely not. Stop it right now.
You should
Go
not be
somber.
Yes, seriously. But a lot of people, and I do want to say that, like, probably especially people who are caught in toxic cycles use sex to feel better. And so, like, that did make sense to me, but also it was like, no.
Mm-hmm.
I did like the toe sucking scene. I'll out myself. That was hot.
I got really scared because, again, the sound designer, he put a real big crunch in there, and I'm like, she bit off her toe like a carrot.
That's the funniest thing you could ever say in your entire life. Yeah, I liked it. I was like, that's all I'm gonna say on that.
I'm scared of feet.
My mom's scared of feet. She thinks they're so gross. They don't, as long as they're clean, they don't bother me. They're the same as hands.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Because if a foot touches me, it's over.
Oh my gosh, that's really funny. But wait, since we are talking about the sex scenes, I did write down in my notes the way I have to get your thoughts on this because the way it was shot, I was like, is this sexualizing women and lesbians for the male gaze in certain ways? But then I was also like, but I like it. So is it for the male gaze, but then I was like, but I also think that the way lesbians and even like bi women and things like that look at women is different than the way straight men look at women. And I like actually like women. So like on a deep fundamental level, I don't just want to fuck them. Like I actually like them, which I think can be different for some cis straight men. And so I was like, so am I liking? I don't know. Did you think this movie was sexualizing the actresses in a negative way? Or do you think it was supposed to be?
I don't think so. Because
Okay.
as I go through the catalog of sex scenes in my mind and the shots,
Stop it, Haylie.
it all seems like ways that a lesbian would actually have sex.
Yeah, no, I thought the sex scenes were great. I'm talking more of like the body shots when she's moving. And like, I was just thinking,
Well, but the girls want to see that too.
well, see, that was my question. I was like,
Yeah.
is this, I'm enjoying this. In the very beginning of the movie, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed nothing later. But I was like, I'm enjoying it. So like I understand why men would enjoy it as well. But also it just feels icky to like, I don't know. It didn't feel good. I feel like maybe that's my own trauma.
I think, and maybe it's just the way that Kristen Stewart is, but I kind of have this feeling that if she felt like she was being exploited, she wouldn't do it.
Okay. And I do know that like A24 very much pushes the boundaries and, in a lot of different ways. And that's why I do want to say, like, as much as I really did find this to be an incredible film
Yeah.
that like pushed boundaries and everything. But I just was like, didn't want to be like, get into too much of like, is this for the plot or is this just for the gays? GAZE, not
plot,
GAYS.
right. Plot versus just to have sex.
Yeah, or just to have that shot, or just to have. And when I was thinking about it, I don't even know if I was talking necessarily about the sex scenes in particular. I thought those were beautifully shot. I really did. It was more of like, gosh, I'd have to go back and rewatch it, and we know that's not going to happen. But just the camera angles of not even in the sex scenes, just of their bodies in general felt icky. Like that sex scene with JJ, ugh, like that felt icky, but like I can see a certain demographic being like, oh, it's so hot. You know what I mean?
I think it was supposed to feel icky though.
Okay, good. Okay,
like,
good.
I think that especially that one, you were supposed to feel like this guy. It was supposed to give you the like, ooh, something's wrong. This is repulsing me in some way because it was. That's what he is, and
Okay.
she was also having that reaction.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
but in terms of your point about the shots on just their bodies, like outside of sex scenes, I can't really think of any that
I'm thinking of. I can't either at the moment. It was mostly towards the beginning because I wrote it. It was after Lou started paying for the steroids from people. So I don't remember exactly what was going on. But anyway, I want to talk about Lou's dad a little bit, especially because JJ gets Jackie the job at the gun range after they fuck. And that was kind of like a quid pro quo situation. And when Jackie's dad, or not Jackie's dad, I'm sorry, Lou's dad teaches Jackie to shoot, I immediately felt like the way it was shot was showing us that it was super foreshadowing. Like, I was like, oh, she's gonna use this gun later in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and there was such a power dynamic
Oh, it was
on here.
again, that was the dad manipulating and abusing Jackie. JJ has already been doing that. And then Lou eventually does. I was just like, this girl needs to get away from this fucked up family.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dad is basically like an arms dealer whose gun range is a front, I want to say, for like money laundering situation. And he's also like a mob boss murderer who like has definitely murdered people before with Lou there and like dumps their bodies in these canyons, which Lou again becomes her dad and does the same thing. I just thought those parallels were insane.
I think that Lou actually was the one who was shooting the people in the canyon before.
Oh, really?
Because she used to be his sidekick, and then she got away from him.
How? What do you mean? What? I'm confused.
So that memory that's in red, the whole time you're thinking like, okay, well, but who you think maybe the dad is the one who shot the guy, but then you find out later in the movie that it was Lou who was
You
shooting.
do? Am
Yeah.
I blind to this?
So they said that Lou is the one who was shooting the guys that were threatening her dad's business. She was like getting rid of them for him.
Oh,
She was
that went right over my
sidekick.
head. Yeah,
Yeah,
I caught that part. I knew she was with him, but I thought I even wrote in my notes towards the end, like this would be a master class in like mob bossery to only show one person where you do this so that if anything ever did happen in that same location, you would know who flipped on you or who turned on you. I was like, that would be insane. And I wouldn't put it past the dad to do it, to set it up like that. But also, I just like, this is like a next level thinking.
As soon as the police officer who Lou Sr. is paying, was like, who else knows about that place? I was like, Lou is so screwed.
That's exactly when I had that thought. I was like, oh, this is 3D chess. This is master level. He knows exactly who was there and who did what.
Yeah.
Insane. I loved the shot. Again, the way that they shot this movie is incredible. It gave so much indication of Lou turning into her dad because all these memories are like her dad in this like red light. And then when they're at the hospital, they're standing in front of a vending machine and they're both in half red lit light.
I didn't notice that.
Oh my God, it was the coolest thing, Haylie. When they're at the vending machine, the dad is the left side of his face is in the red glow, and Lou's right side of the face is in the red glow. Like they're morphing into one person. It was so cool. You got to watch that scene again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was that was incredible to me, the way they did that. I just want to like be inside these people's minds, like Greta Gerwig, whoever was doing A24. Is it Judd Apatow's like production company?
I don't know. One time I did prep for A24. I prepped their beef.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
It says Daniel Katz, who's the current CEO, and David Finkel. Why did I think Judd Apatow was connected to this?
You know what I really want to know is, first of all, I want to know where the kids were when JJ beat up Beth, and then when JJ got murdered. Where were the kids?
I bet you the kids were there when he was beating up the mom, when he was beating up Beth, because that just again perpetuates the cycle of abuse. Now these kids have been witness to violence. I don't think they were there when he was murdered. That can't be right. Maybe they were with the dad. Maybe they're at the gun range, like just hanging out, or at the gym hanging out with someone. I mean, obviously that had to be in childcare because the dad's not like going to take care of them. That's
Maybe
a good point,
the
though.
government had them because if the mom's in the hospital and the dad's in jail.
That's true. But he wasn't in jail. He was just chilling at home because Lou Sr.
Right, they just gotten out.
Yeah, because Lou Sr. was like, well, we can't, she doesn't want me to send him to send him to jail, and we can't kill him. She doesn't want that either. I'm like, kill him. Kill him. Please take him out, Lou Sr. Do something redeemable. Like, and then he was just like, no. And he's like, oh, my poor Bethy. And I'm like, you are a terrible father. Like, how do you think that that's in any way consoling to her? You know?
Yeah, that he was scary. The other thing, okay, here's the other thing. Unrelated to the dad to Bethel.
Okay.
But this is about the egg whites.
Say more.
This, to me, points to a really big relationship dynamic that's happening between Jackie and Lou. Because Lou is very much, in my opinion, the kind of person that will bend over backwards and mold her entire life to fit into the needs of somebody else. And she does that immediately. I mean, she already did that for the dad and for Beth, right?
Yeah.
She's like, she did that for the dad to be a sidekick. She stepped away, got away from that. She's still doing it for Beth. And she has remained in this town only for Beth. She's now met this girl, has known her for like, I don't know, 30 minutes, and is molding her entire life around her by giving her these roids that she has, letting her into her place of employment after close, taking her into her house, and then like hooking up with her, but whatever, that's, you know, whatever. But then waking up in the morning, makes some breakfast, and then the girl is like, oh, it's really good, but next time, just egg whites. Yeah. And also, can I stay with you because I don't have a place to live? And she's like, oh my God, yeah, stay with me for the foreseeable future. Okay, no problem. And every single morning, she sits there and does this new thing where she sifts out all of the yolks and throws them away for this girl who she just freaking met, knows nothing about, and is now getting roid rage. And she just, I mean, like literally she's catering to this woman that she has no obligation to. And it just, I think really is adding to the same dynamic, and it makes it into this way where when things are spiraling really, really quickly, into Jackie literally kills a man, Lou naturally continues the behavior that she's on and rushes to clean up after her and put her own self in harm's way and in danger in order to make sure that nothing happens to Jackie.
Okay, wait, but do you think she did it for Jackie, or do you think Lou did it to keep herself out of trouble?
Both.
Or both. Yeah.
Both.
Yeah.
But she goes, I mean, her dad gave her an out later to keep herself out of trouble. And she puts herself back in trouble to save Jackie's neck.
Yeah.
When Jackie did exactly what she told Jackie not to do because she knew it would get Jackie in trouble.
I know, but also like that was so manipulating, being like, stay in this house, do as I say. Again, it's very like pimp prostitute, like mob boss and lackeys. Like that's how it felt. And I think that's like all Jackie or all Lou ever knew too, was how to treat someone like that. And Lou really made Jackie her whole world, but had this like constant nagging fear, very much like an abandonment issue fear. And what I thought was so crazy was even after all of that, even after everything Lou did for Jackie, Lou's biggest fear came true when Jackie left for Vegas. Proved to Lou that Jackie was exactly who she thought she was. I thought that was crazy because Lou had done all these things to keep her life from crumbling, and her life crumbled anyway. And it's like, well, now what? And I think that's what we're like left with at the end of the movie. And it's like, oh, they're just going to run away together. It's so frustrating to watch. Because you're so
Yeah.
right. Like, she knew this girl for an hour, and now 4 people are dead, and you're still defending her. And you're
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah. It's also, this is sort of related, but also not, is that Lou, in the very beginning, you know, she's unplugging this toilet.
Ugh. I know. It's so gross.
And I mean, she's built this life, exactly what you're saying, or she's done so much to keep her life from falling apart. She is independent and she has this life that she's built on her own. She has this job managing the gym. She has
I don't think she really built anything on her own. It's her dad's gym.
But like she goes and she works this job. She works hard at it. She literally gets her hands dirty there.
Okay.
She has her own little place. I mean, if you compare her place to her dad's place, like she clearly made this place for herself.
Yeah, okay. I can see that.
You know. She has her own little place where that she pays the rent. She lives on her own. She has a little cat. She takes pride in her home, clearly. Like it's taken care of.
Yeah.
She makes food, all this stuff. And I was just sitting there thinking, like, this whole opening scene, I'm like, wow, she was just elbow deep in diarrhea. And yet, why am I thinking this is so hot? It's because this woman is like taking care of business. She has it together, and she's just gonna do what she's gonna do in order to, you know, get the job done. And she has her shit together. And it's not like she's rich, but she's taken care of. And then I realize at the end, it's not as hot anymore that she's elbow deep in diarrhea, because the reason that she didn't have that big of a reaction to doing that is that she's done much worse things.
Yeah. Oh, you're so right.
Yeah.
This movie makes you think on like 18 different levels. Yeah, I understand why you were itchy the whole time. Okay, going from that though, I did want to talk about a couple cute things that I really liked.
Okay.
And also like how it played into like explaining like a lot of Lou's life and dynamics that she has. So there's this shot of them laying in bed together and the phone rings.
Yeah.
I thought it was so sweet. There was just such a closeness and intimacy between Lou and Jackie, where Lou reached over Jackie to pick up the phone and gave her a kiss, like right as she was answering the phone. And as, you know, Lou answers the phone, Jackie's like kissing Lou's forehead. And it's so intimate. It's so intimate. And you think like, oh God, like at least Lou is like happy. Lou has this like sense of happiness. And then her world falls apart. The shoe drops. Her sister is in the hospital after being beaten by JJ. And to me, I was like, that is such the perfect dichotomy of Lou's life. It's as soon as she has something beautiful or something to herself or something just teeny tiny that makes her happy, because of the toxic situation and like family and culture and poverty and all of these outside traumas, they're always going to get her. You know, I feel like that's how she's feeling. They're just everything. She can never have something herself. And I think at the end, when she does kill Daisy in the back of the truck, she is just like resigned to her life at this point. Like you're going to have these highs and you're going to have these lows, and that's all there ever is going to be.
Yeah. Poor Lou.
I know, and that's what I was saying. I was like, yeah, she's an absolute monster, but not because of her innate self. Like, it's because of her circumstances. A lot of it, you know, a lot of it. Like, who could Lou have been if she was born in suburbia in California? Like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, like, the overall arching of this movie was? What is the message at the end of the day? What are we supposed to get from this? No, seriously,
Okay,
the silence is so interesting.
Yeah, the song Live fast, die young. Just kidding.
Meanwhile, I'm over here going, was this movie purposeful or impactful if we cannot differentiate what the overarching theme and what we're supposed to learn from it is? Were we supposed to just be shocked? Maybe that's why I don't like the movie, because I don't know what I'm supposed to take away from this.
I think a lot of it's about relationship dynamics. And like, I don't know. I was reading somebody's take on this and they said something about ongoing violence in relationships.
Mm.
And I'm going to add to that. There's a lot of people's understandings of love in this movie.
Yeah.
That just, I just don't think are really what love is. Like, love, if love is patient and love is kind, I just don't know that this violence is love, right? And
it's not.
Yet, in this movie and in real life, people perceive it like that a lot. And there was a very poignant moment in this that I think hit me pretty hard. Again, on that tennis court at the end of the movie, where Jackie is trying to get away from Lou, and she kind of screams, and she's like, I wish I had never met you.
Oh.
And then there's just silence for a really long time while they both sit there and process what was just said, and how she meant it when she said it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that translates. That's so real, because while in a regular relationship, it's not because one of you has murdered multiple people and the other one has cleaned it up and there's been manipulation to this high of a level.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, you've loved so hard and the stakes were so high and you had a long way to fall, so you fell a long way. And sometimes the cost of loving really hard and intensely can be a lot of pain and can make you wish that you never even met somebody, even when there were so many great moments, because these two had great moments together.
Yeah.
And yet they paid a price, and the feeling that they're left with is, I wish I never met you. And that's just, it hit me right in the gut.
It's so sad, because it's like, how do you get to that point, right? Mm-hmm. How do you love someone so hard? And I do want to come back and talk about this idea of love in this movie. But how do you love someone so hard and then get to a point where you wish you'd never met them? In their case, I can understand it. But like in more regular, not as toxic things, like, I don't think I've ever said about anyone that I've met, like, I wish I never met you. No matter the hurt, no matter any of it. I don't think I've ever felt like, God, I wish I had never been through that experience, or I never met this person, because it really does shape you. And I think all of the hard things or the emotional things you've been through, in my case, I think they've made me a softer person. But I can't say I would be a softer person if I went through what these two characters went through, right? And I think that's privilege, and I think that's luxury of, my socioeconomic standing and my upbringing, and I had great parents and things like that, right? But tying that perspective into their idea of love, when you're told something is love from the time you're little, but it's just abuse, you're going to think that abuse equals love. They're calling all these different things love, but it's not. So like Lou and Jackie, they think they're in love when in reality, they don't even know what that is. Neither one of them has an understanding of it because they've never been shown it. Lou's father obviously did not show her love. That was abuse when you groom a child into becoming your mob boss sidekick and make her murder people, right? And obviously you have Jackie over here who's never, I don't want to say never, we don't know her entire backstory, but clearly did not have a loving upbringing. And then you're coming together and you're trying to love someone. How? With what tools do you love that person other than abuse?
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah. So I think maybe the meaning's in there somewhere.
Maybe. Yeah, that's right. Haylie looks so smug right now. You know, if you just let me talk.
That's not a smugness.
If you just let me talk long enough, I'll get there. No, Haylie's never smug. I don't think Haylie.
Sometimes I'm smug.
I don't know, but even your smugness is like cute. Like you trying to be smug. Okay. Is there anything else we have to talk about with this movie? I really don't
think so. I think we just about covered it.
Tell me why, at the end of the day, you loved this movie.
I thought the visuals were very powerful. I thought that everything about the film itself was powerful. I thought that the acting was phenomenal. And it made me, one thing that I really, really appreciate about art and what I have always hoped that my art does to people is that it made me viscerally feel a way very strongly. And even though in this case it was discomfort, I really appreciated that.
Okay. I feel like, you know, it's really funny. I've realized in this podcast, you say I think and I say I feel. And that's a Myers-Briggs thing.
Really?
So, yeah, like I used to be an INFJ. I think I'm an ENFJ, but the F part is you're probably a T. So my F.
No, I'm an F. I'm an INFJ.
I feel like everyone is an INFJ. I feel like it's not real. I feel like Myers-Briggs is rigged. Maybe that's also why we get along so well. We're both INFJs. But anyway, what I was saying was, I think as I've gotten older and I've done a lot of healing and I've gotten more comfortable with feeling discomfort and feeling discomfort in my body and being able to work through those things and understand emotions and grow my emotional intelligence and things like that. When I watch a movie like this, I don't know why I would choose to put my body in a state of such dysregulation. And so I think that's why I didn't like this movie, was not because it made me feel uncomfortable, but because I felt like I was putting myself into a state of dysregulation for the purpose of what? Like, yeah, we were doing this podcast, but had I known that this movie was what it was, I would have picked a different movie. And that's not to take away from anything from the movie. I thought the movie was brilliant. I just don't need to feel those feelings by watching something else. I have felt a lot of those feelings because of my own life circumstances, right? And so to put myself back into that state of like feeling grossed out or feeling so horrible for what these characters have gone through, like, I just don't need that in my life. I have enough of it, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And I think
understand that.
Yeah. And I think that's only come with like age and experience. Not that I'm like, you know, some sage person, but I think that's what I'm like realizing about myself in watching this movie. So maybe this movie did have like a good impact on me, but it's not the movie for me. But again, I think it was great. I think it was great. It deserves awards. It's incredible. it has its space in the sapphic world. I'm gonna stick to ammonite. But okay, that was our Love Lies Bleeding, probably our most disjointed and jumpy around episode ever. But I don't know how else we could have tackled it.
Love chaos, then you're welcome.
You're welcome, guys. Feel free to give us more suggestions. We have like a running list of movies we want to watch. Let's do a funny one next. Let's do Bottoms, but we have to watch it together.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's very funny, and I want to be really weird and watch you watch it. So
yeah, and you want to hear me giggle.
I do. I love your little giggles.
Okay. All right, guys. We love you.
We love you
for listening.
Thank you for listening to this, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.